Hello and a warm welcome to another episode. My guest today is Florian Kramer, founder and CEO of Line Health. Together we are talking about why they are shifting from a project-based business model into SaaS.
Florian, it's such a pleasure to have you.
Thank you, Björn. Really nice to be here.
Our topic for today is you started with a non-SaaS model and then you made a decision to switch into SaaS. And I'm super curious. So what were the main reasons that you started with a non-SaaS business model in the first place?
Yeah, my startup is dealing with a highly sensitive topic. We are talking about mental health at work. And we started with a non-SaaS solution because we developed a product that is doing like a mental health risk assessment. And it's legally required to do it. And most of the time, and the other competitors are doing it just like a project kind of thing. So there's one time the status quo, and then we afterwards there are some measurements to do. But I think most of the time the risk assessment is like a more seen like a project.
And then, so you build up some traction with a project-based model, and I learned that you got a small funding round as well. So you have external investors convinced with a project-based model. And then what happened that at some point you decided, okay, this is not the way to go any further?
Yeah, I think this is not the kind of startup we wanted to build because we are really impact driven, purpose driven, and me and my co-founder, we are coming from a long background in the health system, and we want to have an impact for the employees, and we want to help them dealing with their anxieties, with their stress, with their mental health issues. And that's why we are pivoting from the project-based thing to more like a recurring and more impact-driven setting. But for us, it was really easy to build the MVP or the prototype in the first step because it's easier to develop, even if you are not like that technology driven. It's really easy to build it, but afterwards it's more difficult to develop the product if you want to have recurring impact with the employees.
In that regard, I have a pretty similar investment, and they wish for a SaaS model, but they also kind of stuck in the project-based business model because in their industry it's about engineering. It's more common, or it's kind of known that you have a non-SaaS business model. So I'm intrigued. So what are the indications? Because one thing is, of course, you're telling about kind of having a long-term, or at least what I sense is a mid-term, long-term impact. And of course, we will come to the investor perspective for SaaS-driven models. But on the other hand, is did you define that the market is ready and that you're not just pushing into a market which isn't ready or which is not accepting SaaS?
Yeah, that's a really tough question, and a question we are dealing with the last month. I think one answer to it is we made a lot of interviews. We talked to people from like CEOs and head of HRs. That's our persona, our buyer persona, and we are talking about with them about this topic because, like you told me, it is known. So our product is really known in the business like a project type, and to generate like a SaaS solution out of it, most of the companies need to adjust and need to rethink it because most of the time they are doing this kind of assessment one time and maybe 2 years later, and afterwards they are doing something or nothing. But if you switch to a recurring SaaS solution, you need to take them with you all the time. So they they need to get a high value out of it for their company and for their employees.
So I'm super curious about the transition phase. So you said it's commonly known that you are kind of selling a project, and this project normally, I would say, lasts 2-3 months max in kind of preparation and then kind of post analysis. Or how long does a classic project last?
Exactly, like 2 or 3 months. Yeah, depending on the size of the company.
And now you sell kind of SaaS solution with an annual contract, or how do you?
Yeah, with an annual contract.
Two comparable costs, so you basically stretch the total sum of investment over a long period, or you double down on revenue and length?
I think in between, because if we just change the billing and the slices into our project into 12 pieces, no, I think it's a little more than in the beginning, but we didn't double the price, so it's just in between.
Okay, and out of curiosity, are you charging upfront, so kind of as a classic project pricing, or are you offering monthly and annual payment?
Both. Monthly and annual payment, but in front because of our liquidity situation. But I think right now we are in the phase where we look at each company to deliver them the most of the value, and we decide to build them individually right now. So I think we need to get a system into it, but right now we are talking to one customer with a annual recurring revenue and to the other customer with a monthly recurring revenue, depending on their status to us. You
Can you
understand what
just
I?
elaborate a little bit more on that?
Yeah.
Because I haven't fully grasped what is the key differentiator between a monthly and an annual.
I think for us it depends on the size of the company and the maturity of the company. I think with a startup it's more easy to do like a recurring revenue and or a scale up, and with bigger companies or corporates, we need to, I think we need to adapt on their system. So we're taking them as our customers, and sometimes we need to stick to their billing system. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, and that's
Yeah.
why I was wondering, because one thing is, and we come to this in a second, is
Mhm.
the logic and the mentality or the philosophy of
Yeah.
recurring revenue drives recurring revenue. So recurring impact drives recurring revenue. The
Yeah.
other thing is, if you're in an industry with a service which is used by as a project base, it might be a kind of nice piece of transitioning and just charging annually, because especially big companies, they have their budget allocation process in place. They are used to pay a decent sum in whole. So
Yeah.
of course it's still the business model behind that is SaaS, but the billing actually is a one-time annual fee.
Exactly. And that's why we are charging, I think, the bigger companies with this kind of billing system,
Okay, so
because they are used to it, and it's easier for us in the process of the sales, in the sales process. Yeah.
so just to rephrase it, the bigger clients which are used to big sums charge one at once. You
Yeah.
offering the SaaS service, but then billed annually up. Your cash flow will be delighted. So that's a
Yes.
good thing. All right, so let's shift into the internal perspective, because rationally it totally makes sense. Longer impact, modern modern business model, investors. So we also talked about the evaluation multiple, which is normally attached to have a recurring revenues.
Yeah.
What changed internally? What changed with your team?
I think in the beginning we wanted to look how much traction do we get with this solution, and how's the response from the market and from our first customers, and but because we built a solution that is usually known as a project-based solution, we focused on this because our customers are used to it. But then we took a deeper look into the problem that we are solving. And the problem that we are solving is dealing a lot with the employees of our customer because they are the ones that are affected by mental health issues. They are the ones that are affected by the last 3 years of uncertainty, war, and crisis. And we wanted to deliver them more value and to help them to deal with these issues. And we wanted to support the companies to help their employees in the working situation.
And then, so I really like the mindset behind that. Before, so my hypothesis was before you were kind of a low tech company and now you are switching into a proper tech company. Is that a right assessment?
That's the right description of our process. And as you can imagine, we need to have other resources to change or to pivot. Because in the beginning it was easier, it was low tech. If you can say we have a digitized employee survey, so that's easy to develop. But now we are changing, we're transforming into a higher tech solution where we have like a platform model and we help the employees with their kind of situation, and that's unknown for our first product-based kind of thing. So we need to do a lot of communication to explain why we're doing it this way. So we need to have other resources in tech and in sales and in communication to address the new product.
And I'm super, super curious because it sounds like a lot of change management and a lot of also mindset change. So how do you navigate through and how do you measure that you are on the right track to really get this SaaS model right?
Right now it's like a little fluid and we need to focus on this transition or this transformation. We have to figure out a lot of things and we haven't figured out the right metrics for us right now, I think.
Are you selling both kind of project-based and SaaS in parallel, or
Yes.
did you stop selling project-based?
No, right now we're selling both, and that's kind of tricky too. We are a small team, so that's we can I think the change process inside our startup Line Health is really easy because we're a small group of people, and we are really focused on this transition. We have outside help as well from coaches and mentors and from potential investors because I think it's not the right description, but they kind of forced us to do it because they told us that if we are stuck in this project-based approach, then we will be chasing after high tickets for a long time. And
which can be a nice business, but not with investors, I would dare to say.
Yes, exactly. And it can be a nice business, but we decided not to be the ones that are chasing high tickets. That's I think kind of our own decision to have the will to build a real tech product, a real HR tech product.
Fascinating, because even with a small team, I would say it's always easier to sell legacy than to start something new because it always takes longer than expected. And to still have the option that you give people and your customers to fall back into, let's do a project, is super, super challenging in navigating through and building two entirely different pipelines at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. It's really challenging, but I think in our situation or in our status, we can't say, okay, let's skip the project approach. We need to get the revenue out of it, to build the other solution, to live longer, to stay healthy, and to push the business into the right direction.
Nevertheless, I'm super curious because I'm a big fan of kind of demand gen and filling up the pipeline. How do you make sure that you have at least get some traction in your SaaS business? Because it will take some time. So is there any kind of indication KPI you're looking at? on a daily, weekly basis?
Our daily active users is one metric that we're tracking, and the most exciting metric for us right now is our pipeline. So our funnel. I think this is the one that I want to say. I think yeah we're changing right now, and we need to learn a lot more than we know right now. So
Yeah, I
change
really.
management is really our main business.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's yeah, I'm always impressed how challenging change management is. Even
Yeah.
with a small team, just imagine you would be much bigger, and I have all the respect for really big corporates dealing with change management.
Yeah.
So it was super insightful in what made you to the decision to shifting from a non-SaaS model into a SaaS model. What took you, or what made it the decision in the first place that you started with a non-SaaS business model? Is there anything you would like to add, Florian, for the time being?
I want to add, we want to build a product-led business. And it's really hard these days in this environment, in this recession with a lack of investors. I think that's what I want to add.
Even
And
tougher, yeah.
even tougher. And I think you need to have the right resources and the right persons to build it. And it's even harder if you have another approach in the beginning. So I think it's a really hard decision, but we made it. And I'm really curious how it will get into the right direction. But we're willing to give all into it. And I think it's the right decision for us, and it's the right decision for our product. But yeah, if I can fast forward into like 2 or 3 years, I would definitely have a look into it.
Yeah, I can imagine. So I wish
Yeah,
you all the best of luck and success, because it's
thank you.
definitely a very challenging journey. I'm convinced that you made the right decision, because the impact, to extend the impact and really make true impact with midterm and long-term relationships, I think that's a very wise decision. And I thank you for your time and dedication. It has been a
Thank,
pleasure.
thanks a lot, Björn.